To start with, thank you all for coming. I appreciate it. It's nice to see a lot of people here, and I hope you enjoy what I found. But I'm going to try to speak in a first-person point of view a little bit with this, because I feel like we're so involved. And for those of you that knew my dad, he was very involved with writing a lot of this. I have some scrapbooks up here that you can see. You can look through those a little bit. His scrapbooks, he has a lot of things in there. I'll go through different things. I'll try to point out some things, but what I'm going to ask, seeing as how we have some people here that may have played on some of these teams, if we come across a picture that you're in or something, I'll ask you to raise your hand. So, but hopefully, let's see what happens. All right, so anyway, to look at the history of Ripon, I went to lots of different sources, and I need to put out some thank yous. First of all, Howard Hansen, a lot of these uniforms, he's had them there. I was able to get the Ripon Little League minutes that are all in a binder thanks to Howard keeping it. Jim Seidel started putting those together. A lot of people that put the whole Little League program together that way. I'd like to thank Ed Ott for his scrapbooks on the Ripon Legion team. He's kept things so that I could get pictures out of there. Andrew Prowitz at Ripon College got me into the archives up there. I went through the college days. I went through the Crimsons. That was a lot in there too. I'd like to also thank Skip Walker and Jason Mansmith. They helped me with the interviews. And I think they had about as much fun as I did doing those. You know, it was a lot of fun to do those. And then the Ripon Historical Society. These old uniforms that you're seeing around here are a part of the Ripon Historical Society. And some of you have made comments as you've come in here, you've never been in here before, please come back and see a little bit more of what we have here. There's a lot here. And then I'd also like to thank Bloom Keys. These panels that are up around here from the Little League, Bloom Keys has had those on display down there for years. I'd seen them in there before, and I went in there to ask if we could use them for this, and she said, well, sure. The gentleman that put them together doesn't even work here anymore, but we've kept them up. So I'll be getting those back to them, but you could go into Bloom Keys and read a little bit more if you'd wanted to. But there's some great pictures there. All right, well, as far as my history goes in Ripon, with Ripon baseball, it probably goes back. These are some articles where I found things. They used to put this information in the newspaper. And if you look at these, we have the Haas Shoes, Ripon Merchants, Speed Queens, Humphreys. I don't know what Humphreys is from. Does anybody know that? What type of a store?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Dry goods or something.
Oh, okay. But St. Patrick and Super Shell, you see the Commonwealth, Fairwater, Campus Theater, just these names. But these are articles from the 1930s. Well, in the 1930s, we probably didn't have Little League, and in talking to some of these people who have been around, they said, no, that was probably softball. Well, I'm not sure if it's softball or not, because when you look at these, they refer to things as the hardball league, and they kept all the standings through the years as they went with it. Oh, and I guess while I'm thinking of this, can you hear me well enough? Do I need a microphone or anything? Is it okay? Yeah. So, okay, all right. I was looking at one person there. But with these articles and with the things that were in the paper, you have the articles that were put in the paper each week so that people could read up on our Little League teams. I think that during these times and in talking with people, and I know this even goes back into my own history, boys would get together and play baseball. We'd play off the wall at Roosevelt School. Doug Bradley talked about going behind the current middle school and playing off the wall there. Before there was blacktop there. He lived around the corner there. So there were places where people got together and played. And I know even talking with the Ron Husky, we'd have 5 people, we could create a game and go out there and just play. So it was a part of our upbringing. This was an interesting one because it says the Hardball League opens at Eagles. Now they used to play at Eagles and they played at the Ingalls Field. Doug even talked about playing at Alice Callan. He said it was a blacktop surface, but they could play. But with this, if you'll notice at the bottom of this article, they refer to it as softball. But up at top, they talk about the Hardball League. Now, notice at the bottom also, their trophy was a luscious watermelon. So, well, and this is the thing. As far as doing this research, my father told me a story once that he started writing sports at Ripon College in 1934 when he got there, and he tried to read an article about a football game. He went through and he found all this wonderful writing and everything, found out about the color of the uniforms, found out about all kinds of things, but didn't know the final score of the game. So he went in and asked if he could write sports for them, and they said, yes, we don't have somebody else that wants to anyway. So, but the writing that was done in these early articles, I also found that it was difficult to do research because in some of those early newspapers, in some of the early newspapers, there may be an article and it would have a first paragraph that would say somebody passed away. It was an obituary. The next paragraph, without any headline, would be about the baseball team. And the next paragraph would be about somebody visiting Ripon. It was interesting to see some of that. Oh, I don't know why I keep on getting that. Here again, the technology with this. This is the very first information that they have with the Ripon Little League team. They started in 1956 and they got together and met. You might see various names on there if you're able to read that. The Jim Seidels, my dad's name is on there. There's even a Howard Hansen on there that we've been talking about a little bit. That is not the Howard Hansen that's sitting here. But Warren Bradle, the Russell Lehman, George Kaler, Merwin Stellmacher, that many people knew as Muff Stellmacher. But they all were the people that got things going. Jerry Thompson's name is on there. This is an early picture of some of our teams. They did not have uniforms. Muff Stellmacher is in there, and Tom Stellmacher and Tim Stellmacher are in there. But that's Muff Stellmacher. Is there anybody in this picture? Cody, I saw you before. Oh, there. Okay. So, that's my brother Cody. And this is Cody again, Ripon State Bank. Their advertising was on the t-shirts. When they first started the Little League, they were almost surprised at the number of boys that wanted to play. They had 100 boys show up the first time they had a meeting to sign up for Little League. And that surprised them. And within a few years, they had 200. They just, it exploded. They would go to County Stadium to see the Milwaukee Braves play. In these pictures, I found some interesting hats here. I don't know what the advertising was that was on them. But just enjoying a game at a Milwaukee Braves game. A packed stadium, of course. We've been doing that for years in Wisconsin. But the very first opening of the uniforms. Now, these early uniforms, they started the Little League in 1957, but these early uniforms had the advertising for these different, like the State Bank, the First National Bank, things like that. So you don't see names across the front of them. Harry Prowitz, Muff Stellmacher again, in that picture.